Welcome back. Now we've just finished implementing our item interp state, which allows us to pick up an item and have it fly up in front of our camera just before it falls down and we swap the weapon. Now we're ready to add some more animations to our project. Now, as we know, Bellica comes with lots of animations in her folder, but she doesn't come with all of the animations that we want to implement. So we're going to add some more animations in this video and retarget them to her skeleton. So let's get started. Go ahead and open up the Epic Games Launcher and click on the Marketplace tab, and we're going to search for a particular animation pack called Animation Starter Pack. Search for that and you should see the Animation Starter Pack pop up. Now we can get this, it's free and it's going to be part of the Epic Games permanently free collection. Now go ahead and download this starter pack and add it to your project. Since I've already downloaded this starter pack, I have the option to add it to my project here. So I'm going to click Add to Project and find my shooter project. Here it is, Shooter, and I'm going to click Add to Project. So I'll get a progress bar, and when it's finished, then I should have this animation starter project in my shooter project. So here in my shooter project, I'm going to close the game folder, and here I have Anim Starter Pack. And here we have a whole bunch of animations that we can use in our project. But these use the mannequin skeleton, and our character uses the Bellica skeleton. So if you double click on one of these, you'll see here in the asset details, the skeleton used is UE4 mannequin skeleton. So we can't just use these with Bellica right off the bat. We have to retarget. So what does that mean, retarget? Well, let's take a look at this skeleton, UE4 mannequin skeleton. If I click the Browse To icon, it'll take me straight to the folder where we have this skeleton. If I double click on it and open up this skeleton asset, then I'm brought to the mannequin skeleton. Now this skeleton is connected to this Unreal Engine mannequin mesh, whereas our Bellica skeleton is connected to the Bellica mesh. The process of retargeting an animation is taking that animation and assigning it to a different skeleton. Now, in order to retarget this animation to the Bellica skeleton, we're going to use something called a rig, which is an asset used to pass information between two skeletons. Let's go back to the UE4 mannequin skeleton here. Make sure this is the skeleton associated with the animation starter pack. You can double check by taking a look at the folder that it is contained in. We have Animation Starter Pack, UE4 Mannequin, and then the Mesh folder contains UE4 Mannequin Skeleton. So with this asset open, we're going to click Retarget Manager. Now down here where it says Setup Rig, we can select Rig. It's right now set to none, but if we click the drop down, we can choose Select Humanoid Rig. Select that. The humanoid rig is this default rig that contains the main bones contained with the default Unreal Engine mannequin skeleton. Go ahead and click Save and close the window. Now we're going to find the Bellica skeleton. So in Paragon Lieutenant Bellica, go to Characters, Heroes, Bellica, Meshes, and find Bellica skeleton. Open that, and here in the Retarget Manager, we're going to come down to Select Rig, and we're going to click the drop down and choose Select Humanoid Rig. Now here is where we would select bones to match to our other skeleton. Now in the case of the Animation Starter Pack, the Unreal Engine mannequin skeleton has the same exact bones with the same exact names as the skeleton used with Bellica, so we don't need to change anything here. We'll learn later on how to take a skeleton with different bone names and retarget it accordingly, but in this case, we don't need to change anything here. We got lucky. So click Save, and now that our Bellica skeleton is using the same rig as our Unreal Engine mannequin skeleton, namely they're both using the humanoid rig, we can now retarget our skeleton. Now before we do so, let's take our Bellica skeleton and undock it by selecting the tab, clicking and dragging, and creating a free-floating window with Bellica skeleton. Now let's go back and find our Unreal Engine mannequin skeleton in that mesh folder, double-click that and open it up and undock it by selecting the tab, clicking and dragging, and creating a free-floating window here. Now notice that the mannequin skeleton has its arms set a little bit differently in its base pose than the Bellica skeleton. Bellica's arms are down a little bit. We need to move her arms up a little bit so her base pose matches with this Unreal Engine mannequin's base pose. So here in the Bellica skeleton, select the skeleton tab so we can take a look at the bones, and we're going to look for the upper arm L, select that, and we have her upper arm L. We're going to move this up slightly so that it's at approximately the same angle as the mannequin. Let's find the upper arm R as well. Here it is, upper arm R. We're going to move it up slightly as well so it matches the Unreal Engine mannequin skeleton. Now that we've changed her pose a bit, go back to the Retarget Manager. Now we're going to have to maximize the screen. Drag it up to the top of the screen. And way down at the bottom, here in the Retarget Manager, click Modify Pose and select Use Current Pose. That way we're using this current pose as her base pose. Now save and close the window. And we can also take our mannequin skeleton, save, and close the window. Now we're ready to take our animations in the animation starter pack and retarget them. I'm going to go ahead and close this animation asset and go into our anim starter pack. Now from the anim starter pack, I'd like to use a reload animation for our rifle. So in the anim starter pack, search for reload, and here's an animation called reload rifle hip. We can double click this to see what it looks like, and it's basically an animation of reloading a rifle. Okay, close that out. We're going to retarget this animation. So right click on reload rifle hip. Now up here by the top of the pop-up window it says retarget anim assets, and then we can select duplicate anim assets and retarget. Now here it says select skeleton. We need to select a skeleton to retarget this animation to, and the only option is Bellica skeleton, so select that. And here it shows the source and target skeletons for this animation. The source is, of course, the Unreal Engine mannequin skeleton, and the target is Bellica. Now we can click Retarget. And automatically a new animation asset is created and stuck into the content folder. We're going to take this animation and put it in one of our folders. So in the underscore game folder, we have our character folder, open that drop down, and here's our animations folder. From the content folder, drag this animation into our animations folder and select move here. Now in the animations folder we have reload rifle hip, and we're going to rename this reload rifle hip Bellica, so that way we know that this is the retargeted version. Now double click reload rifle hip Bellica, and right away you're going to notice something funky. She looks deformed. Her arms don't look right. Her shoulders are stretched out a bit. Nothing looks correct. I'm going to click in the timeline and scrub so it stops, and you'll see that her hand isn't even in the right location relative to her wrist. So we're going to need to fix this. So go to the skeleton tree tab here and click the drop down next to options, and we're going to click show retargeting options. Now this is how we fix this morphing problem here. We're going to right click on the root and select Recursively Set Translation Retargeting to Skeleton. This sets all of the translation retargeting options to the skeleton. Notice right off the bat that her skeleton looks better. Now she's elevated a little bit. We're going to take her pelvis bone and change translation retargeting from skeleton to animation scaled. And we're also going to select the root bone and change translation retargeting from skeleton to animation. Now if we click the play button, we'll see that her animation looks much better. And we have successfully retargeted an animation from the Animation Starter Pack to the Bellica skeleton. Perfect. This concludes this video. Now, in the next video, we're going to take care of something. If we zoom in on Bellica and scrub through her animation, you'll realize that as she's reloading her weapon, first of all, she's not holding it correctly. That's because this animation was designed for a different weapon. And when she grabs the clip, she doesn't even grab the clip that's on her weapon because this, again, was designed for a different weapon where the clip is closer to the front of the gun. Her clip is actually on the back behind the trigger, which is actually unusual for most rifles. In the next video, we're going to edit this animation in the Unreal Engine editor so that she's grabbing the actual location of the clip of the gun. So we'll see you in the next video.